I have Paranormal Technology. On the line is Kathy. Go ahead and introduce yourself and the company.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I am founder, along with Robb, Phillips, my partner, with the Paranormal Technology Investigations. We have been here for about 11 years, 12 years. And we have a team with us that's been with us for about 9 years. So I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi there, my name is Jeri Patrick, and I'm one of the team investigators.
Hello, I'm Tonya Kennard, Jeri Patrick's sister, actually, and I have been with the team since about 2012, I believe. Both of them.
And I'm Robb Phillips. I'm founder, and I've been into the field probably about 25 years or so. And I think that's about it.
Great. So primarily your job is to, obviously people reach out to you, they're saying they're having an incident regarding something paranormal, and so you would go and investigate this on site typically?
Yeah. Yes. We'll investigate, and if it they need help or something, trying to get rid of it or whatever, we'll do a blessing or whatever, or whatever's needed to help them move on.
And so you have a lot of gear for this, right? I was looking at some photos on the website, and some of the cameras you have look very expensive, like extremely expensive.
Yes, they are.
So the benefits of those cameras are to capture the apparition, and or is it just to identify them being in the room?
A little bit of capture a lot of activity with that. You see a lot of different types of activity. It does help when you're running an EVP session to see who all was in the room when it was talking. That way you know if it's somebody or if it's actual spirit voice speaking back to you.
Got it. So, in your experience so far, what has been an experience you've had that you felt was probably something you couldn't control?
Getting hit in the mouth has been one. I was hit, I guess it was back in the winter, and this fall last year, I knocked my tooth out.
Wow. So, what do you do after that? What's the next step?
Pray and protect yourself, basically. Just keep moving on. You can't stop. You got to keep going. You can't be afraid of it.
Is that typical for apparitions to become physical?
Well, they can, apparently, but that's rare. We never see anything like that. We'll have people get pushed or touched or pinched or bit or something like that, but it's just little minor things every now and then. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't occur often at all, but they are able to do such things. Huh. And people say, you just can't hurt them. Yes, they can.
Wow. So outside of the physical contact, what do you feel is the best evidence you've encountered so far?
Fine, Irwin.
Yeah, and I'll let you tell that story. Yeah.
Yeah, we did an investigation in a town near Jonesboro in Irwin, Tennessee. And to me, that was the most interesting investigation we had been on. The whole team was there. And the thing about it is, I had gotten hit in the stomach, and I keep a recorder with Velcro around my arm. And when I jumped back after I got hit, I looked down on the ground, and my recorder had been ripped off my arm, and it was laying by my feet. The thing about it is, nobody seen it happen. Tonya was on the monitor. She did not see anything happen. It was just there on my arm 1 minute and then my feet the next. It was just crazy. Robb had something happen with him there that night, and with the thermal imaging camera, he had it looped around his arm, and our camcorder had cut off, and he went over to cut it back on. And when he went back to put the thermal imaging camera back around his wrist, the loop was taken off from around it and was just laying there on top of it. So that was kind of strange how that happened. But that was a very most interesting investigation I had been on that I had experienced myself, besides when Robb got hit last year. I was just standing beside him when that one happened, and it was it knocked him down to the floor and knocked his bottom tooth out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Things can happen during these investigations. You want to do a lot of prayer and protection, and also, before you go in and when you leave on these.
what got you guys into this? What put you on the path of paranormal investigating?
I think with all four of us, we've all had experiences since we were really young. Mine started when I was maybe about 8 years old. Our house, nobody knew it was haunted but me. I would see things in it, and just curious, knowing something else was out there. That's how I got into it, and probably the rest of the team had their own experiences too. Robb and Tonya and Jeri, since they were young, and having just knowing there's something else out there, and it's not your imagination. When you see it, it's real. It's there, and I'll let them talk to you about that.
Right. I personally, again, I'm doing this podcast and the website because I witnessed nothing in life. No ghost, UFOs, nothing. So that, I'm doing this more to learn and see what I could find. And eventually I want to get on the road and do a documentary eventually. But for me, ghosts they're both, for me, a question answered, about afterlife. And they're also probably more frightening. I'll tell you why, is because if aliens were in my house and, I feel like I could physically protect myself from an alien per se, but a ghost, what can you do? It could legitimately sit there, sing the same song over and over again and harass you indefinitely. And there's really not much you could do about it. So what would be protocols to remove them?
You want to answer that?
You're trying to got things.
Well, I think depending on the type of haunting somebody has, I think there are different protocols, depending on, if they're malevolent or if they're demonic. I mean, there are things you can do for that, but there are some things, like you said, you can't really protect yourself, but I have to respectfully disagree. I think that you can protect yourself, and you do have the power within you to hold those spirits at bay, if you will.
That would be, I'd have to learn that, right? Because I think the average person wouldn't have a clue what, again, if in the house I'm in now, if I see an apparition in the house, I panic because there's not much I can do. Someone like yourself would get a phone call from me because I cannot deal with that personally.
Sure. Yeah. And we understand that. We get calls like this all the time, actually. And so that's why we're here. People in this field are here to help others who experience the same things that may not have the tools or the skills that we've accrued over the last few years.
Right. So circling back to how to remove them or essentially deal with them, right? What are the best methods that you come across?
Well, for us personally, we rely heavily on prayer. We do blessings or cleansings of the homes. But what we like to instill in people is that confidence. Sometimes you just have to take control of your house and say, you're not welcome here. You can do simple things in your home. You could sage your own home yourself, depending on what you're dealing with, of course. You should always get somebody's opinion, like who's in the field, who's had experience with this, of course. But there are certain things you can do. I've heard that if you set out lemons, that draws in negative energy, and you can just take those off the property when they dry up and bury them. You could do salt barriers, different things like that. There's a lot of stuff out there that people can try. But before I tried anything, I would reach out to people who have been in the field for a while just to see what you're dealing with, so that way you know which direction to go in.
Right. So outside of prayer, and so here's some things I've read, because again, I know very little. It's believe it or not, COVID is what got me involved with learning more, because I was obviously obligated to stay home, and so I started watching a lot of documentaries. It got me really intrigued on a lot of subjects. But for me, it always had my curiosity. Is there a science? Is there, I guess what I'm asking is there a science for us to detect them, to learn of their presence?
it's not really science. I wouldn't say. I mean, you could do some research in physics, parapsychology. I mean, that's another one you could look into, but there's not really a science behind it. I wouldn't think. Quantum physics.
Right. But instruments, there are plenty of instruments. I've seen, because some of the shows I saw through the COVID break, a lot of instruments. Even the camera you had on your website, I was blown away when I saw that. That looks very expensive and very complex.
Okay, so I'm not sure which camera you're talking about. Maybe the SLS camera.
Perhaps I'm not. I couldn't describe it other than being looked to me like a futuristic movie camera almost.
Okay, there are some Sony recorders. Is that what?
Right.
I mean,
maybe
sure.
I'd have to share with you what I saw.
Okay.
Because I was also hearing on there, you guys were doing tours. I found that's something I want to do, by the way. I would love to, because again, my motivation for doing this is I really want to know. I really want to see. I'm desperate to be. I just want to. The one thing that's going to take a lot of convincing for me out of all the subjects is probably going to be Bigfoot. It's probably going to want to take the most to convince me of it, to believe in it. But everything else has, you can make room for all of it. There's no denying some of it.
That's true. Now, Robb, he's had his own experience with Bigfoot here in this area back years ago, and they had him on a show called Monsters and Mysteries in America, talking about what he had experienced. And, that was a pretty interesting story he had to tell.
Yeah, again, for Bigfoot, it's so tough because there was a study for, I think it was a squirrel, or some squirrel, something. They were using drones with IR cameras, and these IR cameras are using in the field, and you could just see things light up everywhere. And I guess my question is, why have we not found that? But that's another subject, another day. I've done tremendous reading of that, and I still haven't come across anything tangible yet. The ghost, though, everything I read about that, it's got a huge community. It's enormous. And it's hard to deny something that, for me, I can never deny it. I can never shoot it down because I bear no witness, and my curiosity has me wanting to learn more about it. So,
right. Paranormal too. It just isn't limited with ghosts, the spirits. It's a whole different, like,
anything above the normal.
Exactly. And
right.
I've had experiences seeing things that didn't look normal. It wasn't a ghost. It was and that was actually witnessed here in Jonesboro on the streets one evening. And I don't like talking about it because people think I'm crazy, but I actually seen this stick man about four feet tall. No, it's about 4 feet tall. And I was headed up to the library on the back road, and it was almost dark. And this thing, I stopped my car in the middle of the road and opened my door. I didn't even see if anybody was behind me, and got out and watched this thing. And it was running. It went up into the woods. And but it was part of the paranormal field.
right.
It wasn't normal. And then it took a couple of years for I finally found online where someone had witnessed the same thing, and this thing was following them from a store. It was right about dark, and it dashed into the woods. I thought, wow, that's exactly what I experienced.
Is there any folklore surrounding that? That's the first I'm hearing that.
I don't know. I haven't really done much research on it. It was just, it was different,
What
you can call that.
with regards to ghosts, why do you think they exist? Why are they here? Because again, I grew up, my mother was very Catholic, and when you passed from here, you went to heaven, or if you were, like myself and other siblings, you were going the other way. Why are they here?
You may want to answer that.
Why are they here?
Yeah.
Well, I've always been taught that your spirit is in your body, your soul's in your body. A lot of times people, and I know you've heard this before, they died unexpectedly and they don't know they're dead. So they're still walking around like nothing's happened. It's energy. It's energy. It's what it is. It's energy. We're all energy. people that are sensitive or even have a little bit of sensitivity, can see, sometimes spirits. They can even hear them speak.
Untimely deaths.
Untimely deaths.
So what it is, it's basically just stored energy. Some of this stuff, like you'll in your research, you're going to find that there are different types of hauntings, and one of them is residual, where it's just trapped energy. You can, like, they can store themselves, or the energy is stored in
It's like a
walls
record.
or something like that, and it gets played over and over and over. Those are residuals. You're not going to be able to communicate really well with them, or if at all. Intelligent hauntings, you can communicate. Those are the ones you're going to get EVPs with, or class A EVPs actually disembodied voices. So they're different types of hauntings, but you have to remember too that, if you think about the population on this earth right now, plus people who have already died, that's a lot of energy. Those are a lot of spirits or souls or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. That's a lot. So why would they not be here?
It makes sense. When a human passes, the brain activity continues. That's been noted.
Right.
And that brain activity is pure energy. So,
Right.
Again, I don't doubt ghosts. I don't dispute them. I personally never see anything. I'm going to obviously speak more with you and others like you and just gather evidence, because eventually when I do travel and take a camera with me for documentary purposes, I'm going to want to go where I feel like I'm going to find something.
Mm-hmm.
But spirits and ghosts, we'll say spirits.
Okay.
Spirits are circus performers. You just can't go somewhere and expect them to start doing their thing.
Right.
It just can't happen like that.
Right.
Sometimes it happens when you're not even expecting it. That's why they talk about the peripheral vision of the corner of your eye. Like you about say you see something out of the corner of your eye. That's a lot of time. That will happen unexpectedly. You'd be sitting somewhere and all of a sudden you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, what the heck was that? And you
Right.
turn and look at nobody there. You may have just seen a ghost.
Undoubtedly. There's been many times where I was by myself and I could swear I heard things, but again, I have this weird thing with me. I default to logic every time. I have to have a rational reason for something. Like I wonder why I've never gotten to see anything. And a friend of mine recently told me it's because you're looking too hard. Because when I was as a kid,
Isn't life and death not rational?
yeah, it's true. It can't rationalize everything. But again, as a kid, we were by a pond in Florida, and all my friends said they saw stick figures, like shadow figures, moving around by the banks of the lake across the way. And, I remember being a kid thinking that could be the shadow of the moon, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, I ran at it. I ran toward it because I had to know. I just had to know. I've always been one of those. And, due to the way the world is right now, I'm finding more time to look into it. I really want to look into it. I want to find something. Again, even I said this recently. The last thing I saw in the sky remotely close to a UFO was like this blue orb, but it was during a storm and my brain defaults to this logic. And so that's the tough part for me, but I really want to see something, and I'm going to eventually travel and hopefully I do get to see something.
Well, and that right there, that creates a really good investigator. If you're really looking for explanations, like I don't jump to everything as being paranormal. I like to go out and I like to try to find a logical reason for it. And I think from what I'm hearing you say is you're the same way. Like you want to find if there's another reason for this happening. So I'm like you in that way. And I do think that you have to do that to be a good investigator, because not everything is paranormal. Some of it is just hype. They see a lot of paranormal TV shows on. And so if they hear a creak in the floor, they automatically think it's somebody walking, when it could be something as simple as like the air conditioner kicking on and making the doors expand or contract.
Yeah.
So you have to keep those things in mind.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. I hear something in the dark house in the night. I immediately run to it. I got to see.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not saying that something's there, but if I even hear it, I gotta go see it. I gotta know. I gotta know right now. And that's, again, but then, I'll sit, like I caught myself a long time ago where I was staying at a friend's house, heard something strange. I sat in his kitchen for 30 minutes trying to examine the logic behind it. And it turned out being that his fridge producing ice causes a water flow. So, and long story short, it was the ice maker. And I was really upset and disappointed. I was really disappointed, but That's the curiosity in me.
Well, that's gonna make you a good investigator, though.
Good. I again, I want to be accurate. I'm never going to report something that's not real. I'm going to be on it.
Right, and you absolutely shouldn't do that. So good for you.
Another thing on the shows that I've been seeing on TV, and this question, maybe it's a dumb question, but typically they're always recording at night and in night vision, and I never understood why.
You can't see the dark without it.
Well,
it's not time though, right?
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, I don't think ghosts are they're not on a schedule, right? It's all day, all night. I
think sometimes the night vision, going green, whatever you want to call it, prevents you from capturing activity. I noticed sometimes when we're just using like a spill light or whatever, we can see things with the shadows and different movements, their eyes and the camera.
Huh.
And I believe too, if a place has activity, it's going to be there day and night.
Right.
It's just if it's there at nighttime, you can see the shadows. If you see a light shadow during the day, you're not going to really see it, but you can at night. I guess that's why a lot of people do their ghost hunting at night. But we have done some during the day, and we have gotten activity during the day with those.
Yeah, but to add on to that, I think too, everything is settled at night. People are, getting comfortable. Kids are in bed maybe, or, the phones aren't ringing as much. And so it's just better to collect evidence at night. And plus, I was told once that some spirits, they have, like, you can't see them during the day because they're light pretty much, they'll be misty shadows or whatever. And so you can see those better in the nighttime. It's like if in the daytime you were to turn a flashlight on, you wouldn't be able to see that light. It's the same thing with a spirit or a ghost.
That makes sense. No background noise, no ambient noise, no traffic. Yeah, night.
Right.
I can see that makes more sense to me as far as investigating. So now at least with that answer, because a lot of shows I'm watching, it's night. They have night vision. I'm pretty sure ghosts would operate at any part of the day. But what you're saying, that computes.
Right.
So next subject, demons. I know what I know from childhood and from my mother's Bible. I do not understand. I had a very poor idea of what demons were until I started researching this more. And I find them to be a little more frightening than the Hollywood versions because they don't appear to be something that taunts you or you see it. They just infiltrate. And that bothers me more.
What was that last part again?
About demons. They infiltrate. They don't usually pronounce it or announce themselves coming in, or you almost don't know that. I mean, according to everything I've read and everything I'm seeing so far, you almost don't know that they're a part of your life is what I'm seeing.
Right. They'll come to you as a wolf in sheep clothing. They definitely deceive you. They can enter into your life. You don't even know they're there. They do things to corrupt our lives every day. People don't even realize what's happening. I've seen it. I've seen things going on. My Bible tells me I'm more of a non-denomination. I go from the King James. My Bible says that what is not good is of Satan. So if it's not good, then it's opposite of that. It's going to be bad. If it's bad, it's a Satan. If it's good, it's from God.
Right.
So my beliefs, anything good is from God, and anything bad is from demons and Satan. And they're going to do anything they can to deceive us, try to disrupt our life, our walk with Christ. So yeah, they do things in ways that a couple thousand years of learning this stuff, they probably pretty good at their job.
It's tough because we're talking about things that typically average people can't see them or are unaware of them or even know how to deal with them. Or is it too late to deal with them? That's another question that I've written down that a lot of people ask.
Let's return to reprobate mind, which I don't think it's ever too late.
Well, I get that. I read something recently, and it kind of startled me a little bit. The woman was saying that whatever entity was in her life was being passed down through generations. Was following a specific bloodline. Have you encountered that?
Like a generational curse, just kind of like the Bell Witch. That's something similar to that. It's still going on generation to generation. We have heard of generational curses, and we've had dealt with a few of those. There's prayers and things that we use for that type. We've not done one in a long time, but there's different prayers and methods to take for that. Take that back, I guess Tonya has.
No, I was just going to say, talking about generational curses, in my opinion, this is not fact or anything, of course, but what I think is when one host dies or goes away, I think it finds another host in the same home because it's familiar with that home. It's familiar with that environment. So that's just my opinion on generational curses.
Right. Yeah, that reading that bothered me because it seemed the woman I was reading about, she seemed very distressed, and she has tried everything from, I believe what I read, the Vatican was involved. They had neuroscience. They were trying to determine whether or not she was crazy, but
Right.
whatever it is, it was spoken about. Even I think something by her grandmother wrote it down. I have to watch it again, but that troubled me because what do? It's not something you ask for, and I don't think they ever got a rational reason why. Again, I guess let me ask, what does she do? What do you do in that situation? Obviously, if she had the Vatican involved, what more? At what level do you go to next to remove that?
Exorcism.
Huh.
Exorcism.
Yeah.
Call it exorcism. I just call it rebuking in the name of Jesus.
But the Catholics call it exorcism.
And you said you were raised Catholic, correct?
My mother was raised Catholic. I carefully avoided it.
You did. I went to a Catholic school, Catholic church for about 3 years there. So I kind of understand some of the Catholic ways, different things too.
Right.
But the exorcisms, a lot of people don't realize that when people have something like that in their lives, it's not easy to get rid of. And a lot of times it takes that to get rid of it. And if people don't have that faith, my always question is for people, if they don't believe and have that type of faith, they know they've got some type of possession or demonic attachment or something like that. How do you get rid of it? They don't want you to use your faith of your belief because it's different as theirs,
Right.
Which sometimes, what I'm looking for, controversy.
Yeah, but everybody, but if you believe in God.
Yeah, but there's there's some that lived in the neighborhood down in Johnson City. They had a lot of problems, but they didn't want. This has been like 15 years ago or so. They didn't want me to help them because my God was God, and there's like Buddha or somebody out here, whatever they want to call him.
That's another good point. There's a lot of religions. Until just now, I didn't even think of that. There's a lot of religions. So I imagine each one has their own way to deal with it.
Right way, but it's one of the right ways.
Right. Are there any, I asked this earlier, and I guess the answer is going to take time to research, but is there any science combating this that you know of? Like, is there, again, like if it's energy, is there like a machine or something that would put them at bay? I don't know enough to answer that question.
I think the science end of all of this is what caused people to end up in the mental institutions, the crazy wards, and prison, demonic attachments and things, causing them to do things in their life instead of getting them help. We got them locked up somewhere. Yeah. I think that most of those are a lot of people who need a little bit of help, and I think the science end of it is what's got us there. I think they try to explain their thing, and they overlook certain aspects of the field. What's really going on. It's like they put science with everything. We put our biblical facts with our scientific theories, and we'll take that and run with it. So we kind of have both to go with, and we've had things happen and experienced things that the science that they put behind a lot of this stuff. No, I don't believe in a lot of that. I believe some of it should be explained with science, but what we've experienced and encountered, there's no way. There's no science that's going to explain none of this.
Yep, I agree. So I'll give you an example. There's one video I saw a friend of mine shared with me. It was a ghost that was upside down or something. The guy was filming something benign, like filming his home, and there was a ghost upside down in the doorway.
That would not be a ghost.
What would that be then? What would that? Again, I know so little about this.
There are different explanations for certain things.
You know the video I'm talking about, right? Where it's like it's upside down in a doorway or a pantry-way.
Right.
That was the one video that freaked me out because I had a really hard time explaining how he would fake it.
Okay. So look up matrixing and look up Peridolia in your research.
Yep.
Those are two things that can explain a lot of things.
Peridolia?
Yes. So basically that's your mind is going to create an image of something that it sees. So for example, I'll use the clouds. If you look up in the clouds and you see, a dog up there, it's really not a dog. We know that. That's your mind creating an image based on the information.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of pictures can be explained that way. Matrixing is when you blow up the pixels so much that you actually see things in the pictures. So that's another topic too.
So in you're and it's good to hear because you're definitely, I could see you vetted a lot of images. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
What videos have you seen or what videos have you taken that you found to be the most compelling so far?
Whoa.
Where do we start?
Gosh, where do we start? We have gotten so much good evidence. I'll answer this one. It's a
if you want, I'll put links in the podcast to wherever you want your video sources so people could see it.
Okay. We had done an investigation in Newport, and in this large warehouse, there was a female apparition in the doorway, and she was full figure. You could see her. She was standing there at the end of the video when we were just zooming around. It was actually with a GoPro. And just at the end of the video, when we turned around and walk away, you could see her there. And it's like when she saw us there, she turned around, dropped her arm down to her side, and went to walk back out of the doorway. We have so much good evidence, stuff like that there's no other explanation than knowing that it's what it is. It was a lady standing there. It was a ghostly figure, the lady. But we've had like on a haunting, we've had several shows on there, and the one that they done was the haunted cabinet. That one was we got the full video of that we had sent to them. They just used little bits and pieces of it, and that thing is amazing. This cabinet door would open up, and stuff inside would just be pushed out of it. You could see these two little shadow figures run like they were inside the cabinet, looked like little kids, and they would get up in the bed beside the cabinet, and the covers would raise up. They'd drop back down like they jumped out of the bed. It was just amazing what all we have captured ourselves, video and pictures.
Anything in particular that actually scared you?
I've had my frights here and there before. I've had a few things happen where I had a second guess if I'm going to go back out again. But those things like that's happened to me, and like the one in Irwin. We do a lot of prayer protection before you go into a place, and I can tell you when we done that one, my mind wasn't listening to the prayer. I was looking around up at the windows. I was thinking it's just another investigation. We've been there, done that. There's nothing unique about it. And was I wrong? You don't never take anything for granted, and you listen to those prayer protections, and you really focus on every bit of the investigation, when you're there, because anything can happen, and not one is the same as another. They're all different.
Right. I mean,
mine was see that kid in that window. I mean, when we did,
Last year.
Yeah, so and so's house.
Yeah.
And none of us knew that the child would get on the roof, and he'd be playing around the house and get on the roof and look through this window. Well, me, Kathy, and Tonya are sitting there in this young man's bedroom, And I happened to look over, and I thought it was Peridolia. I thought I was seeing stuff. Couldn't believe it. And it was actually of a little boy in like 1800s dress, the white shirt, with the drawstring or whatever, and the puffy sleeves and the little brown breeches. And I seen the silhouette of him. I guess you want to call it a silhouette, it's a spirit. But he was in the window looking in, and I kept trying to, say, no, this ain't real. And because it scared me a little bit, it took me back. And then when Tonya and Kathy went downstairs, there's a picture on the wall, and it shows the original people that had been in that house, that owned that house. And it says, Jeri, did you not, is this the guy you seen? Is this the little boy you seen? I came downstairs, and sure enough, there he was standing there. It was the original child that lived there. So it still bothers me to this day.
I'm sure there's a lot of stories to those, right? To the apparitions themselves.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we've all seen something that we've been kind of scared, I guess is what you'd say. But yeah, we've all been taken aback with our own experience.
Do some of these people stay in a home? Like they stay living there?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Most of our clients they stay in their own homes. Yes.
And they just, I don't know. Like, do you move? Like at what point? Obviously, if it's benign, I wouldn't worry about it. Right.
Right.
But if they're going to be jerks, I guess you move.
Sometimes you can't just move and, move out of that house because that spirit's a turkey bird. I mean,
sometimes they'll follow you.
They will follow. They'll get attached to you somehow. There's something about you they like, and they'll get attached to you.
Yeah,
and you can't get a blessing done on the house, and maybe if it comes down to it, even an exorcism.
That was a story I read with that woman where it's generational, and no matter where she went, it was there. So yeah, I guess that makes sense too.
Attachment,
right?
That would upset me. I still, not to make light of it, but I still, for me, I think a spirit that would do harm to me is sitting in the room singing the same song over and over. Because I think that would be punishment. All right, you imagine that, hearing the same song sung all day, all night. Imagine
a demon doing that, dude. Imagine a demon doing that.
Yeah, I hear of all the videos where things are getting thrown around and people are screaming and it's chaos. And all I could picture is someone singing just a horrible song over and over.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember too that, their energy is only going to last for so long. It's not like they're supercharged beings on call all day long. I think they have to draw energy, like they have to recharge during certain periods. I think that's why you can see them sometimes and sometimes you can't.
Like if you're sick, they feed off that energy. If you're feeling depressed, they feed off that energy. If you get anything negative, they feed off the demons. Now, demons will feed off negative energy. So if you're feeling negative that day, you better get ready because you never know what you might just have along with you.
That's true.
Yeah, that or fear. They feed off fear a lot.
Oh, yeah. Don't fear them. Never show them fear.
Maybe that's why I don't see anything, right? Because I'm constantly running at everything. I don't know. I mean, as a kid, I naturally will run if it's mysterious. It's a good thing I never really encountered something in my youth. I'd be dead. I'd be a ghost because I just want to know. I constantly want to know. And I was dating a girl a long time where she yelled at me because we were sitting in a car and it was around a pool hall I hung out with, and there's a wooded area back there, and I saw something. I ran at it. She was mad at me for leaving her.
That's like my dad, my sister and I. Our dad, he actually puts my mom in front, like if he's scared. Like he'll put her in the front. He'll make her go into a room first or whatever. It's really funny.
Yeah. They do me the same way.
Back on your story, you said you had seen a stick figure. What did that look like?
I didn't. My friend saw this. I ran at it. I didn't see anything. So to put the image in your head, there's where we were is like a little playground in Palm Harbor. There's a lake that was between myself and the bank of the lake on the other side by where this wooded area was, right? And they swore they saw something moving. For whatever, it is when you want to see something and then you look that way and something in your brain triggers that you think you did. And then something inside of me switched and I just started running over there to go. I had to see it. I ran all the way around this lake until where the moonlight was hitting the other side of the bank and got there, and there was nothing. And I remember feeling so mortified and depressed. I was like, I was mad. I even went home. I didn't even talk to my friends after that. I was mad because I never get to see anything. And I remember that night, there was one time when I was a kid, I was watching a UFO documentary with one of my aunts, and it scared the shit out of me. And something about that it drew my interest in. And I lost interest in everything for a long time. I was playing pool, hanging out with friends, drinking, doing everything but thinking about that. And COVID comes around and you have this downtime and you're watching documentaries because it's a sexy subject, right? It's mysterious, all of it. Aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, all of it. And,
right.
And so I'm watching these shows, and it rekindled that curiosity from childhood. And I was like, I'm going to do something. If it's a blog or podcast, or I just need to talk to people to hear their experiences. So I could, maybe get an idea what I got to look, maybe get an idea what it is I've done wrong or what I'm not seeing, or ultimately just to hear other people's experiences. Because I got tired of watching shows, and I feel like I never got to ask the question I wanted to ask or find out the thing I wanted to find out. And then a lot of these shows, like on these big channels, they get to this part where it's money and it cuts off until next week. And you're like, what? So that's where this came from. It wasn't until another thing too is, in 2017 caught my attention and it really got on my radar was the UFO thing with the Navy pilots. Sold.
Oh yeah.
I was sold because that equipment that they're using and the people that are bearing witness to that, that's indisputable. You can't deny that, So
yeah.
And then I went down a rabbit hole of ghosts and demons and more ghosts than anything else. Did I find a lot of people that were compelled to speak about it, and you could see in their eyes they spoke with contrition. They truly believe what they saw. So that gave gravity to that as well. And then there are some images and some videos that I still can't. I'm pretty good about explaining things. I'm pretty good at breaking down videos, and I don't know. I don't give in to the standard video. It can't be grainy, can't be full. I mean, even if it is grainy, I understand that how that could affect you, but I'm good about it. But there's been a couple of videos that took me off guard. And when I was talking with you earlier, that image of this thing upside down, I put that through my computer. I filtered it every way I could. I still can't explain how he did it, if he faked it. And if it's real, that's frightening. That scares me. Because you can see that guy's face after the video. I'll share with you guys after. I'll put a link into the podcast.
Yeah.
That guy was scared. You don't fake that kind of fright. Like that guy, you could see him shivering. He ran out of his own house daytime ran out of his house. I had to pause the video, take a break. I had to catch my breath because that bothered me. And you could see the fear in his eyes. So whether it's debunked or not, I don't know, but that caught me. So there's things that catch me. And so this is why I reach out to you.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting because now hearing your story about your friend and the thing in the doorway, I just want to run up there and do my thing. And I think once you finally see for yourself something that you see for yourself, like an image or apparition, whatever you want to call it, you're not going to have any doubts. Well, I take that back. You are going to have doubts because you're going to sit there and you're going to question yourself. Like, did I really just see that? Is that what that was? Because I do. Yeah. I've seen one apparition and I still question myself, but I know what I saw.
Right.
So you're still going to have doubts, even though you see something.
I think for me, it's going to help too, because there's this other subject I'm going to be touching as well. Where do we go when we're dead? And there's going to be some sort of piece of, if I see a ghost tomorrow, or anything, there's a reassurance to me saying, all right, at least there's something after this. Because that mystery of, when you die, did the lights just go out? And what did I do this whole lifetime of mine? And is it going to be carried on? And do I get to still be me, or et cetera? So there's other subjects in touch. Reincarnation is going to be one. I have someone he's, I guess, done a lot of research in that. I'm sure that's going to be a long, long conversation. But for me, it's a peace of mind. It's letting me know there is something, and then it takes away a little bit of the mystery or the fear of the end of that road, if that makes sense to you.
It does make sense to me because back when I was younger, I did what you call medical transportation, and I'd pick up these old people. I'm an old person. I'm 50 years old, so I'm old. But anyway, they were grandmas, great grandmas, and especially if I knew they had come down with a terminal illness, and I would question them. I would say, So tell me, what was your happiest time in life? And I've heard them tell me, like one woman told me, so well, my happiest time in life is when I was in my early 30s and my children were still little and we lived on a farm. That was my happiest time. And another lady, I asked her, and she said when she was young, when she used to get out and drag race cars, they called her Smokey, So I think too that you could say heaven would be your happiest time in life,
Right.
the best time you enjoyed life.
Well, for me,
Okay.
they're going to have to splice down to several videos of my life, right? Because I've done a lot in life. And it's hope, right? It's what hope's a strong thing for humanity. It's a very strong thing. A lot of people speak of faith, and I appreciate faith. I have faith, but faith and hope are not the same thing. They must coexist in order for you to be happy. And in my case, it's getting questions answered, or at least learning more about these things. So I definitely don't want to go to my grave without at least trying to find things and see things and witness things. You know what I mean? It'll be a very settling thing for me to do.
Yeah, I would suggest that you start taking a recorder with you, like an audio recorder. Just, when you have these questions,
Right.
maybe go to your friend's house where he caught that image and just do like a little question.
Kathy, Tonya, Robb,
Yes.
go ahead and speak the company and your tour dates.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Kathy. You're wanting to know the what all we do and the dates.
Yeah, just a tour date. So if anyone wants to inquire or, how to get in contact with you.
Okay. Robb, he actually is the one who does the ghost history tours, and he does that in the town of Jonesboro. Those dates are usually once a month. People call in and we give them a date that month when he'll go out with people. So it's not really a set date. It's just a roundabout, most people call her from out of town. So we try to work with their schedule. And then other than that, then we do them once a month. And then the ghost hunting tour, which we call the investigation tour, that one is when people call us and they want to go out with us. If we have one set up where they can go on investigation and it's okay by the owners to bring somebody, then we'll take them out with us on those. And people call all the time wanting to go out to investigate. It's crazy. So those aren't set dates.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay. But as far as the ghost hunting tours, there's just certain places that we take people out. We have a couple local places that's outdoors that we take them. And then, like I said, we have the Hell Spring Inn. We advertise that for the inn. It's a haunted inn in Rogersville, Tennessee. That one we do the last Saturday of the month. Right now, of course, we didn't do it last month and this month, and we won't start back until November due to we also run and design the haunted forest in Jonesboro, and that's where we're at now working. So that is time consuming every weekend until the end of October, and that's open to the public. And we have like about 8 scenes. We have people coming out, designing them and running them for us, and through side attractions with those. One of them is the escape room, and then we have the haunted maze and the haunted museum.
Okay, so
Now,
it sounds like there's a lot of events that you guys host.
We do, yes. We stay busy. Still, it's still fun. We stay busy with it. Now, the Haunted Museum, that's kind of linked in with our investigations. We have several items that we have collected over the years. That's people would say, take this out of here. It has an attachment with it, and I don't want it anymore in my home. Robb would have a place behind his house that he would store this stuff in. And so last year we decided to open up a haunted museum, and we have about 8 pieces in out here now at the Haunted Forest.
Okay, and all this can be featured on your website, yeah?
Yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
So I'll get links for that again into the podcast description and even on the website. And I suppose so. Right now, currently, nothing's going on right now, though, right? So people would call in advance to do this.
On the for the investigations or the forest,
Everything.
yeah, everything going on. People will call. We start selling tickets for the haunted forest in advance. And if they want to go through the extra attractions, those are extra tickets. And believe me, these lines are long every weekend. We our guest speakers at ETSU here twice a year in the spring and fall, which is really interesting. It's a psychology class, and we speak in that class, and it's open to the public, and we pretty well have a full house when we do that. People that's interested in paranormal, what not to do. So our speaking about it is the do's and don'ts when you want to get in this field, the dangers of it. Just letting these people know not to get out here and do the wrong thing and conjure something up that's going to hurt them or somebody else.
Okay, so it's something I want to do, definitely.
Yes.
All right, so I have it here. I thank you guys for being on. I'll get the links up, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I need to send through email or anything? Or,
just information for you. I'll attach everything.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.